Serious, what's the thing you're most frustrated that you will miss because it will happen after you die? Attention. Serious tag notice jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted. Link. Reddit. com/r/askredditi/wiki/index/wiki_rule 6. In any comment, parent or child, parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit /message/compose/to=r/askreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Space travel. Maybe time travel. Time travel is logically impossible. Time travel is theoretically possible, but it requires a stable wormhole large enough to travel through, and a fake can only be done backwards. Say there was a wormhole close to Earth, and its other end was farther out in a region of space where there is less gravity. We leave Earth and travel to the end farther out, and enter the wormhole, which, because time is influenced by gravity, would land us back near Earth before we left. I'm no expert here, but I read a book called The Science of Interstellar some time ago. Fantastic read explaining some of the science in the movie of the same name. It covered the plausibility of time travel and distortion, because it was prominent in the movie. Time travel can only be done to the future, based on our current understanding, because you can't reverse entropy. But by increasing gravity, or acceleration, which is mathematically equivalent to gravity, you can, for all intents and purposes, speed up time. Really great. Immersive virtual reality. But I'm optimistic it might happen in my lifetime. I want to tour the wonders of the world minus the crowds and costs. Explore ancient caves, ruins, the pyramids, and other places. Like Ready Player One. Definitely. Or like the holodeck. The holodeck is exactly what I want. The collision between Andromeda and our galaxy. Can you imagine walking out at night and seeing a MF galaxy in the background? If you go somewhere with very little light pollution you can see Andromeda with your naked eye. Nice try. But my eye clothes are staying on. The eye crocs stay on during sex. A peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. A resigned Nigerian. Parts of Africa are on the up and up. We're rooting for you. End of One Piece. Unless you're planning on dying in the next 6 years, the end is in sight, you know I mean. If you can see 6 years away. Oda has mentioned several times we are past the 2/3 mark and it's not making it to 1500 chapters, so we are likely under 300 chapters at this point. While 6 years the way things are going now, we'll be lucky to make it out of this year. I'll go with what I'd always tell myself to talk myself out of suicide. There's always a new Batman movie on the way and the next one might be the best one ever. I think this one is my favorite. I wish I had an award to give you. Halley's Comet. I saw it briefly when it was last here, but was too young to appreciate it and pay closer attention. Also my skies are polluted with light pollution. If it happened now I would go out west to observe. Predicted next perihelion, July 28th, 2061. The last time it appeared in 1986 the comet ended up being underwhelming in observations from Earth. When the comet made its closest approach to the sun, it was on the opposite side of that star from the Earth, making it a faint and distant object, some 39 million miles away from Earth. When Halley sweeps by Earth in 2061, the comet will be on the same side of the sun as Earth, and will be much brighter than in 1986, when Halley next returns to Earth's vicinity. One astronomer predicted it could be as bright as apparent magnitude -0.3 link. Space.com/19878 Halley's Comet. HTML. The last time it appeared in 1986 the comet ended up being underwhelming in observations from Earth. This is an understatement. I drove about 30 miles outside my modest town and still could barely see it. 1/10 would recommend that pass. Any sort of multiplanetary civilization though I guess nothing's impossible. Think about it this way, people lived for thousands of years before intercontinental travel was possible. It's been less than 100 years since intercontinental travel became convenient. We are so incredibly lucky to be able to live at a time when it's possible for someone in England to conveniently go to Japan. I would love to have been able to go see Saturn in person and experience moon basketball. But I'm so grateful that I wasn't born 150 years ago where it took weeks to go from New York City to LA. And you can just talk to people in other countries instantly. I have Canadian and English friends online that I talk to all the time. That's pretty insane. And these words I'm typing are being read by people in other countries and states. Crazy. Switzerland is watching you. The end of the universe. Which is a bummer, because I hear there's a good restaurant there. Have you ever been to a Mars bar? Equally good. I just want some real solid evidence of life on another world. I don't even care which. Do some people care which? Like they want a specific planet to have life. I think there is two level. One is finding basic life or evidence of past life on Mars/the moons of the gas giants. 2 would be finding specific isotope in the atmosphere on an exoplanet that would confirm an advanced civilization. Seeing my daughter living out the rest of her life. I have been there since before day 0 watching her grow and learn. I'm always with her observing her growth and how she is changing every single day. I love seeing her being interested in different things and learning new stuff all the time. Her interests change with age, and I find it interesting to see her personality change and to watch life as she grow into an adult. I was 31 when she was born, and by the time I die she will be in her 40s, possibly 50s. So it absolutely sucks that I won't see her grow in the last half of her life. I will never know what she will be like as old lady when I saw her transform from a ball of cells, an IVF baby, to the incredible 6-year-old she is today. Watching her grow and change has been one of the most fascinating thing of my life. And it makes me sad to know that no matter what, I won't be there with her for every day of it. It's so weird how I'm not even dead yet, but I miss everyone who will outlive me. My wife is 11 weeks pregnant today, and I already cannot imagine this. It's become one of my largest anxieties. Think of it this way, the other option is far worse. Knowing how it all turns out, I hope when we die we just know all, and we get a bunch of cool stats about our like steps walked, times farted, pounds of bacon eaten, you know, the important stuff. The answer to all of those questions for me is about 500,000. There's a ton of great answers here that I agree with, so I'll leave one I haven't seen yet. Betelgeuse going supernova. There's a chance it'll happen in my lifetime, but it's highly unlikely. But when it does happen, it'll be a once in a millennium event. A star will explode and shine brighter than a full moon and be the size of a dime in the sky. It'll be seen 24/7 for at least a week, and a constellation recognized by countless culture for centuries will forever be changed. My family has lived in what is now the United States since 1652. When my ancestors first stepped foot on what would become Virginia, they would look up at the sky and see that familiar constellation of Orion and see the reddish star in the corner. But before my ancestors came to the New World, there were people that already had lived there for centuries. They likely settled there after generations of their ancestors took the arduous journey across the Bering Strait and continued to travel for centuries until settling. When these people throughout their journeys looked up at the night sky, they too could see this reddish star in a constellation they themselves recognized. When Betelgeuse supernovas, it'll be changing a small piece of humanity that has existed since the first apes evolved during the Miocene. When Betelgeuse supernovas, it'll be changing a piece of the night sky that has existed since India first touched Asia and began the birth of the Himalayas. Nothing I see in my life will compare. It's not that old. Betelgeuse formed about 8 million years ago. By the time the Himalayas started forming, 50 million years, it didn't exist yet. It's also moving through the sky at about the diameter of the moon, half a degree, every 60,000 years. My funeral. Pretend you killed yourself in a way that your body is completely dissolved/lost. Wait for people to find out what happened. Wear a trench coat, hat and sunglasses. Attend your funeral from the back. Bonus points if you hide in the casket and get out as they're burying you. That's a very good plan. A giant city on Mars and the ability to travel back and forth from the Earth, like we travel around the Earth now. Read the Red Mars trilogy. I think you'd like it. Thanks for the suggestion. Bruce Sterling's Schismatrix is also pretty good, if strangely dated in places. Got any tapes? Sounds interesting. At some point humans will discover the closest thing to immortality, and everything before that will all of a sudden pretty much become irrelevant. The real question is, do we really want to become immortal? Well, I do. Clinical immortality. It may be just a few decades away. I'm in my 50s. But I'll bet my kids or my grandkids will be able to benefit from the end of natural aging. There is at least one animal I'm aware of that is immortal. If multiple developed nations work together, maybe we can stretch out the human lifespan. Probably not going to happen in the lifetime of any human currently alive. But someday it could be reality. I'm also pretty sure crocodiles are technically immortal, since they don't die of old age. Naturally they tend to die of disease or starvation. Yeah, I think they just keep growing until they use too many calories to hunt, leading them to starving. Probably not correct. I learned this years ago and don't remember where, but if it's true then it could lead to a breakthrough at some point. Could we technically just keep feeding them more and more food and let them keep growing forever? Humanity/society developing to a higher standard. Right now almost everyone can agree that society is pretty ducked up, but human civilization is also far more developed in every way than it was in the past, and I like to be optimistic and believe that society will continue to progress in the future. Although OFC some people will argue that humanity hasn't changed at all and never will. Regardless, I regret that I won't be able to see what society turns into over the next few centuries, if only for curiosity's sake. It will always be ducked up though, because the standard keeps going higher. It might be scary to go down this line of thought, but what we call progress is just based on a few arbitrary values, which aren't constant throughout time. I'd like to see a unified world, all nations accepting one another and working together in cooperation opposed to competition, and people just generally learning to overcome prejudice and accept differences. Half-Life 3? Seriously? Really? I thought the end of Alex was the announcement for it. Cheap effective dental practices. Losing my virginity. You're implying necrophilia. Well, at least someone will appreciate you, bro. My download to finish. Nuclear fusion finally being implemented in everyday society. After the breakthrough happens it only goes from there. We'll finally have a green and clean earth without the reliance of fossil fuels, as well as finally reaching the planetary civilization status according to the Kardashev scale. Want to bet it will be lobbied against just like fission? There's no doubt. This time I feel like it would revolve more around money as opposed to the stigma of danger fission carries as of now. You gotta think. All of these rich oil companies would essentially be put out of business. And when people have their money snatched away from them it never works out well. Family photos on another planet. The fusion between the Milky Way and Andromeda. In quite a time, at least 2 billion years. In fact the few million years before, when you can see a galaxy in the sky, and not only stars randomly placed, if you don't live in a town now. Probably eternal life. With my luck, I'll die, but the guy who is about to die after me will be saved last minute as part of some experimental program that will give him immortality. If you believe in Jesus you can have eternal life. Everyone's here talking about advanced science. It is shocking to see some good old-fashioned Jesus in this thread. Colonizing other planets. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.